Here is a question worth sitting with. If protein is what builds muscle, why are so many people over 70 eating chicken breast every single day and still watching their strength slowly disappear? The answer is not a lack of discipline. You are following the playbook exactly. Lean protein at every meal, and yet your grip feels weaker than 2 years ago. Getting off the couch takes more effort. The stairs demand more from you than they used to. Here is what almost no one explains. Chicken breast after 70 is a weak signal protein. It delivers building blocks, but it lacks 3 things. Your muscles desperately need after 70 to actually use those blocks: the cofactors that fire the rebuild signal, the fatty acids that open the cellular door, and the slow-release mechanism that keeps repairs running while you sleep. The Spinach Expert Group, one of the world's leading authorities on clinical nutrition, recommends at least 1.0 to 1.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight daily for adults over 65, just to slow muscle loss. But hitting that number with the wrong foods is like delivering bricks to a construction site with no foreman, no concrete, and no crew working the overnight shift. In the next 8 minutes, I will show you 4 specific foods that outperform chicken by every biological measure that matters after 70. All studies are linked in the description. Number 4. It looks the most ordinary of the group, and that is exactly why most people underestimate it. Spinach is one of the richest dietary sources of inorganic nitrates. Once consumed, your body converts those nitrates into nitric oxide, a molecule that functions like a pipeline expansion system for your muscles. As you age, nitric oxide production naturally declines. The result? Narrowed blood vessels, reduced oxygen delivery to muscle tissue, and slower removal of the waste compounds that cause soreness and fatigue after activity. Restoring nitric oxide production reverses that decline. A 12-week randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled trial published in Nutrients, conducted in adults over 50, found that spinach supplementation combined with moderate training produced significantly greater improvements in knee extension strength than training alone, across multiple measurements. The practical translation: spinach builds the delivery infrastructure so that everything else you eat actually reaches your muscles. Helen was 71, a retired school teacher from Arizona, who had stayed active but found her walking stamina steadily declining. After adding 2 large handfuls of spinach daily to smoothies and salads, she noticed she could walk further before her legs felt heavy within 4 weeks. The next food addresses the cellular mechanism that stops protein from reaching your muscles in the first place. Number 3. Most people reach for salmon thinking about heart health or brain function. But for anyone over 70 trying to preserve muscle, its most important role has nothing to do with either of those systems. The real obstacle blocking muscle growth after 70 is called anabolic resistance. Think of it as a volume dial inside your muscle cells, and aging turns that dial steadily down. Protein arrives from your food, but your cells receive only a fraction of the signal. The door is barely open. Wild-caught salmon, specifically its EPA and DHA omega-3 fatty acids, acts as a direct amplifier for that dial. Research published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that omega-3 supplementation significantly augmented the muscle protein anabolic response to amino acids in adults, with particularly relevant effects in those showing signs of anabolic resistance. The omega-3s physically incorporate into muscle cell membranes and change how those cells respond to protein. Same intake, far stronger cellular response. Dorothy was 73, a retired librarian from Columbus, who had been eating grilled chicken and protein shakes for years with no measurable improvement. After adding wild-caught salmon twice per week, a grip strength test at 8 weeks showed clear, measurable gains. "I had no idea the problem was in my cells," she said. Next, a food most people eat at the wrong time, losing 8 full hours of overnight muscle repair every single night. Number 2. By 2 in the morning, most people's bodies have completely exhausted the protein from dinner. At that point, the rebuilding process stalls, and the body may begin breaking down existing muscle tissue to cover its overnight energy demands. Greek yogurt, eaten before bed, addresses this directly. A cup of plain Greek yogurt contains roughly 24 to 25 grams of protein, most of it casein. Casein is a slow-release protein unlike the whey in most protein shakes, which clears your bloodstream within 2 hours. Casein delivers amino acids in a steady stream for up to 7 hours. An overnight supply line. Research from the University of Maastricht confirmed that pre-sleep protein ingestion elevated overnight muscle protein synthesis by 22% in healthy older men versus a placebo group. The berries are not optional garnish. Blueberries, raspberries, and blackberries contain anthocyanins compounds shown in peer-reviewed trials to reduce muscle inflammation markers and support faster tissue recovery between sessions. Walter was 76, a retired carpenter from Montana who had written off his morning stiffness as simply part of aging. 3 weeks after adding a small bowl of Greek yogurt with mixed berries before bed, he woke up noticeably less stiff and recovered faster from afternoon walks. And now number 1. This food has been in your kitchen for decades, and you have almost certainly been eating it wrong. Whole eggs. The complete egg, yolk and all. For a generation, people over 50 were told to separate the yolk, the fat is dangerous, eat only the whites. That advice may have been one of the most counterproductive instructions ever given to anyone trying to build muscle after 70. Here is what the science actually shows. Muscle protein synthesis does not simply scale with total protein grams. It depends on a threshold. Research published in Frontiers in Nutrition established that older adults require a minimum of approximately 2.8 grams of the amino acid leucine per meal to reliably trigger muscle protein synthesis. Below that threshold, the meal goes mostly to maintenance, not rebuilding. Whole eggs provide leucine, but the yolk also provides phosphatidic acid, vitamin D, and specific fat compounds that ensure the leucine signal lands with full force inside the muscle cell. The proof: researchers at the University of Illinois gave participants either whole eggs or an equal amount of protein from egg whites after resistance exercise. The post-exercise muscle protein synthesis response was 40% greater in the whole egg group, with identical protein content in both groups. The only variable was the yolk. This works on 3 levels simultaneously. Leucine fires the rebuild signal. Yolk compounds amplify how that signal is received. Vitamin D supports the muscle fiber repair process itself. 3 converging mechanisms. 1 breakfast food. Margot was 74, a retired school nurse from Iowa, who had switched to egg whites 8 years earlier after a routine cholesterol conversation. 5 egg whites every morning, and still losing grip strength year after year. When she returned to 2 whole eggs at breakfast, yolk included, her hand grip assessment 3 months later showed a meaningful improvement. Her physician was surprised. The cholesterol panel showed no negative changes. The yolk was never the enemy. It was the missing instruction. 4 foods. 4 distinct biological mechanisms. Spinach builds the delivery network. Salmon opens the cellular door. Greek yogurt with berries keeps repair running overnight. And whole eggs yolk and all fire the leucine signal your muscles have been waiting for. The science is clear. The tools are in every grocery store. What changes now is your grocery list.